Here we have the results of cutting the shapes, the star shapes, the square shapes, cutting and coloring, getting them ready to put into the mix of the quilt design, and kind of taking the star and cutting it in quarters, and then having the different squares, the 5 squares, different colors. So now what I've done is put the 4 squares that are the similar shapes but different colors, and to transfer this now to another page, it's very simple. You just take your cursor and go around all 4 shapes, and they're all selected, and I hit Command C. That copies them temporarily to the clipboard. So Command C is to copy. Then I go to another page, and let me just set this over here and show you what happens. When I hit Command V as in Victor, that pastes those shapes onto this new page. It takes it off the clipboard and then brings it over to the new page that I've set up. Now notice that I've got the things already finished here. These come over a little larger, so you need to take your selection tool, the black arrow, and come to the corner. I have all these 4 still selected as a group, not joined together permanently as in Command G, but just by having all of them selected, they're temporarily grouped together. Now I come over here to the corner, and you see you get 3 things happening with that arrow. It's a straight arrow, it's a curved arrow, or it's a diagonal arrow. If it's diagonal, it's what I want here. The curved arrow will rotate this. Don't want to rotate it. Hold down the Shift key with that diagonal arrow, and then you rotate or pull these things down until they are in the same size as the squares that I've got on this page. I created the page beforehand, and I have to bring these down until they're the same size. Now that they are the same size, that's what I brought over. I have to reduce it down, and then I'm going to produce a row of 2 rows using these squares. Now here they are set aside as they would come across. Then I produce the blue star and the orange background, the brown star and the blue background, and then the blue star. There's 9 of them across here, and I am going these 4 and one in the middle, and these 4 going reverse order. So I start with a red star, end with a red star. And then on the next line, I set them up with start with this and end with this 5 square, and then just change them out so that they're different. Each line is different. Now, when you have the 2 lines, remember I've got 9 across and I'm on 11 down. Then what happens is you take this 2-line group, and I'm going to make a copy. Option key makes a copy, and I'm going to bring it over here and set it next to my black squares. And then they're 9 across. They're still selected as a group. I hold down the Option key, and I pull this first group down and hold down the Shift key as it moves, so it comes straight down. And I'm mechanically or by eyeballing just making that space between them about the same, the white space. And then I have the second group. Now it's Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D. That gives me 12 lines. And what I'm going to do too is say, well, you know, I want this last line, I want the first one to start with the red square and the last one. And so I'm going to take my white arrow with the plus and select everything on this last line and delete it. Now I have 11 down and 9 across. I want that odd number so that I have the same red star in each of the corners. Now, having done that, then I've placed it back in on the page, so this is how it's going to look when it's finished. Notice what I've done up here. I've made what I call these little grout things that let's get a hold of that right there, that one and that one. I'm going to make a copy and pull it out. I use these here's a horizontal one only, but I use these to put between these squares as I'm forming them, so that I can get them pretty even all the way across. It takes some time to get very close. You have to use your magnifying tool and come in here very close and line these things up, perhaps even go out of color and bring in your these grout markers, let's call them. I'm going to move this over here. Now remember, I'm out of color, so I can see my lines. Now if I put this grout marker down, then I can use that to magnify things as I go, or not magnify, but line things up so that they're the same distance in here and the same distance here all the way across. Now once you make the first two and get this thing set up, then those groupings are going to stay together as you Command D and go down the row and make your 11 rows of these colors. Okay, so back to color, and there you have then the elements to bring these across. After you, on your first page, when you have these made and lined up, then it's Command C, it copies it to the clipboard. Then you come to the new page and you have them set up here. You know, I have two different pages set up here in the top. When you have two open, you have the name here of one and the name of the other. I go to the other page and Command V as in Victor. It pastes them here, and then I line them up and make my first row and my second row, and then I can drive them all the way down. So see what you can do with the color squares you make, the 4 squares that you make, bringing them across and getting them set up so that they resemble now your black squares in pattern, but now they're color squares in pattern, and that ends up as your quilt design.